Well, you know, Louisville, it's a pretty big city. You know, it's getting there. It's not super huge, but I say most places, most cities, you've got some good things, some bad things.
It has a lot to offer.
You know.
It's not perfect.
Right. Good, bad, ugly, you know.
Yeah.
It's everywhere you go. So we're going to talk about a little bit of that. The pros and cons. We're going to give you, we got 7 pros, and then we got 7 cons. That's what we're going to talk about in this video. So if you want to see the pros and cons of living in Louisville, Kentucky, get ready. We're about to talk about it right now.
Hey guys, I'm Neal Cox. I'm with Judah Real Estate Group here in Louisville.
I'm Jared Lasher. We're here on the Living in Louisville channel, and what we're doing here, y'all, we're giving you information like this about living in the area. Also taking you out, showing you around the neighborhood suburbs. That's what we're doing here. If you want to see more stuff like that, well, I guess go check out other videos on the channel. But also make sure you subscribe and click the bell because there's more coming out every week. You definitely don't want to miss those. And then, of course, you know, if you're doing all that and you're that person who is either seriously considering making a move here or you already know that you are, you really need to take that one step further.
Absolutely. Reach out to us. Call us, text us, email us, send smoke signals.
Sound the bugle.
Sound the bugle.
And we can get off to the races, helping you make that move here to Louisville. Now, in this video, we're talking about, like I said, the pros and cons. There are a lot of really good things, you know, great things that we love about living in Louisville.
I think I'm biased, but I think it has so much to offer and doesn't have some of the drawbacks of some other large cities that offer similar things.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're a little biased. We like it. We think it's a good place. But we understand that, like we said at the beginning, everywhere's got cons too. We want to give you that. We don't want it to feel like we're just trying to sell you.
Yeah, we want to be real and let you be able to make an informed, good decision.
Right. So, we are going to start with the pros. Make sure you stick around for the cons. If you're a local watching this and you think we left something out, a pro or a con, feel free to leave that down in the comments. If you're trying to learn and you got a question that maybe this doesn't address, put that in the comments too. You know, that's what we're here for. So let's jump into it. Let's start with the pros. And the first one is a reason I think a lot of people are looking to move here, and that's the low cost of living.
It's very affordable to live here. Housing costs are about 20% below the national average, for example. You know, if you're coming from a coastal city, your dollars are going to go really far when you're looking to buy a house. Groceries are less than the average, and the 6% sales tax is not crazy. There's just not, it's not hard to be able to live well with a good income in Louisville.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just, you know, like you said, if you're coming from a coastal city or some of these, you know, California, New York, some of these places where, you know, $1 million buys you a little postage stamp, it seems like.
Yeah, starter home for $1 million bucks.
Here, that can get you something pretty crazy, you know, especially depending on what area. You get to median house price, I think, was about $275, so just to give you an idea. But yeah, you know, your money goes a little farther here in Louisville, and one thing you can do there, if you're looking at buying a house, if you don't want just that little cookie cutter house, you might get something unique here, and that's pro number 2. There's a lot of unique architecture here.
There's a lot of history in Louisville that dates back to really the end of the 1700s, and for that reason there's a lot of really old, really cool, well-built architecture around, and some of the main city centers have old houses that are more than 100 years old with features that you cannot find with new construction anywhere. A lot of them are really well taken care of, rehabbed, but kept the historic feel. The old Louisville area, kind of near U of L, University of Louisville, is the largest collection of Victorian-style homes in the country. They're all right there, and it has the most pedestrian-only streets in the country in that little area, too.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that impressed me, like you said, was coming to the area, and there are a lot of older houses and things like that where it is preserved, and it's, you know, it's still there and still in good shape. You know, it's not run down. They haven't torn all that down and built new stuff. It's actually still there. So.
An example, I live in a house that's over 100 years old, but it was a complete rehab job. So we've got a lot of new fixtures, but with a lot of that nice old turn-of-the-century charm. It's really cool.
Yeah, so a lot of good opportunities to find stuff like that here. Now, Another thing here that I think is really cool about Louisville, you know, is going to be, and this also gives you some side things to do, but you got a lot of, you know, great colleges, schools here as well.
Yeah.
With the big one being, you know, U of L, University of Louisville.
Yeah, there are all kinds of places for education. University of Louisville, very large, research-based urban university, and it's got a very good reputation as an academic school, but athletics are a big part of it as well. Bellarmine University, maybe you've never heard of Bellarmine, a lot of people haven't, but it is a small private school that has a reputation for being an absolute great school. Some of their athletics just transitioned to D1, and they're out there playing with the big dogs too, and it's in a really cool setting. The campus is real pretty. But you have community colleges. You've got some other private schools. Sullivan, it has a renowned culinary school. It's really cool. You've got Spalding that's near downtown as well. There's lots of opportunities for higher ed.
Yeah, so I mean, you may just want to live close to stuff like that. You may have kids that are coming to school here. You may be coming to school here. So whatever the case may be, you know, a lot of options and a little something for everybody. I think there's, you know, you've got everything pretty much covered.
Yeah, you've got big, small, you've got different settings. It's nice.
Yeah. Now getting out of school, the next thing that's really good here is the job market here has really grown. There's just tons of opportunity, I think, with you finding a job here.
There is. So the population is not growing as quickly as it once was, but a lot of industry is. And for that reason, there's a lot of opportunity for some really good, good paying jobs with good benefits that are easy to find. The UPS hub is in Louisville. We ship packages from all over the world, from everywhere. And for that reason, there's a lot of warehouse and complementary businesses that have moved in and are growing quickly to be part of the infrastructure built with having the UPS hub here.
Yeah, and I think too, it's not just around that. Something that kind of impressed me coming here, somebody a little newer to the area, is there's actually lots of manufacturing here as well.
There really is.
Because you've got the Ford plants, you've got the GE appliances, and a lot more, you know.
Yeah,
but there's
if you're buying a Ford truck, chances are it was made here in Louisville.
Yeah, pretty good chance.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, just and a little bit, of course, that's, you know, industries. Obviously, you've got education, you've got health systems too. It's just there's, I said this already. There's something for everybody here, you know, depending on whatever field you're in. I think you'll be able to find something here in Louisville. So when you get done working, though, at the end of the day, right, and you want to go relax a little bit, is there something here that Louisville, or maybe, you know, Louisville, Kentucky is known for that can help with that?
Well, have you ever heard of bourbon?
I think so.
So, although bourbon can be produced outside of Kentucky, 95% of it is produced in Kentucky.
Is it real bourbon, though?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. And if you don't know, it's a corn mash liquor that is aged in a charred oak barrel, and that's where the color comes from. And over the past decade or two, there's been an explosion in that popularity throughout the whole country. And that's been good news for Louisville and the surrounding areas, because we've had to grow up with the ability to support all the demand. And it feeds into a lot of job opportunities and a lot of cool stuff too. If you're in town and you're interested in the bourbon distilleries and that kind of thing, check out Bardstown, the actual little city. It's about 45 minutes south of here, and it's kind of the hub of that whole industry right now.
Yeah, so you can make the bourbon, then drink the bourbon. Whatever you want to do.
We're not recommending that you drink, though. Well, maybe.
If you're of age and you want to, in
moderation.
There you go. That's the word. You know, anything, most things in moderation are good.
It's almost true all the time.
Almost. All right. You know, another thing here. This is another big one. I think this is why a lot of people really, you know, maybe it's why you're looking at here. Maybe you get here and this is something that really draws you in. And I'll expand on this kind of from the somebody new to the area standpoint, but it really it's a big city. I mean, we're talking about over 1 million people in the metro area, but it really has that small town vibe, you know, of a much smaller city. And I'll say, because of some stuff that we'll get into on other videos, it really is it's like a collection of small towns. That's kind of how I look at it.
It really is. And the big city part of it is that you have nearly every amenity you could ever want. It's got a flourishing art scene. The food culture in Louisville, you would be surprised with how robust it is, with local chefs making all kinds of stuff. Here's a little scavenger hunt quiz. Put down in the comments if you know what a hot brown is.
A hot brown?
A hot brown.
I don't even know what a hot brown is. I'm going to get them to tell me after we get done making this video.
But with maybe the exception of an NFL or Major League Baseball team, we've got everything. And it's got this small vibe that people are friendly, people know each other, people are willing to help. You don't have the cold, look down at the ground and walk past everybody kind of feel that you would in some other really large cities.
Yeah, it's just, you know, like you know, we're out, people are, you know, we're out making these videos sometimes, people are coming by, people honk when they drive by. You definitely want to check that. Friendly people here in Louisville, y'all. People are waving at us, you know, so, you know, it's just, I think it's a nice vibe, you know, you get that friendly vibe, and that's, you know, it's a lot of the South, but I think really Louisville Louisville's considered the gateway to the South,
yes,
right?
So I've heard it said that we are the northernmost southern city and the southernmost northern city.
Yeah, I think they make that work for them too. You kind of give the best of both worlds.
Yeah, definitely.
So I like that about here a lot. Next here, it kind of feeds off of that a little bit. This is just kind of a little fun one if you don't like dealing with impatient drivers in traffic. I think. And we can talk about the drivers a little bit, but the one thing I can give them here is that they seem to be really patient. And I have tested this already a few times.
I was gonna say it would probably make a cool video itself where we could add it to the end here and go test this out ourselves and show you. People are really courteous drivers. And if you're first at a stoplight and you're not paying attention and you miss the light turning, they're gonna give you some leeway to figure it out and get moving. People are reluctant to lay on the horn telling you to go, and they give you a chance. Now, if you're there for 5-10 seconds, of course, but I've been to plenty of places where they just lay on the horn, and you're going to hear about it as soon as the light turns.
Oh, I mean, sometimes I'm like, I actually saw it. I'm switching my foot, and they're already honking. But I haven't had that here. I literally yesterday, and I knew we were doing this, and I can say I did this on purpose, but really I was trying to figure out where I was trying to get to. And the light did change. And it was probably, I know some cars went, so I was probably there for, I'd say 3 seconds, which doesn't sound very long, but at a red light, it's a very long time. Yep. Yeah, and the guy behind me was fine. So I guess he was. He was probably like about.
He was probably close, but then you just wave and everybody's fine.
Yeah, we're good. But y'all, that's our list of pros. We could obviously go on, I think, for a really long time with the pros. And there's plenty of places you can look to find the good things. You'll see the good things when you get here. But for this video, I think we'll cut it there. And let's jump into the cons. Now, what are the reasons maybe that you wouldn't like living here, that maybe you wouldn't want to move here? We want to give you this stuff too. So the first one, we're going to start off with kind of a big one, you know, and it's, you know, most people are going to be looking to go into public schools. Not to say there are a lot of great private schools here as well, if that's something you're looking into. A lot bigger than some other places I've been to on that. But the public school system, it's, you know, if you're in a really good school or not such a great school, it is going to depend a lot on where you live specifically.
It does. The schools they're not all the same. There are quality schools. There are schools that are not as great. And sometimes it really does depend on where you live. Interestingly, though, you do have some choice and some freedom to attend different schools. There's a whole robust plan, but you have to know how to navigate the system if you don't want to end up somewhere that you don't want to be. There are places to live where it's fairly obvious you would go to this school and it would be fine, but you would want to know the system and talk to people. And I know a lot of people within the school system that would be happy to help navigate it, actually.
Yep, and you're the whole area now, since the county and the city are merged, are essentially, for the most part, under one school district. It's
Jefferson County Public Schools takes the whole thing, and it is one of the largest school districts in the country because it's not broken up into smaller areas within the city like most.
Yeah, so lots of different schools depending on the area, but they are all kind of under that one umbrella. So yeah, it's just something to think about, something to watch, something that we can help you navigate, something that, you know, there's plenty of people here to help with that.
Full disclosure, my kids go to public school in Louisville, and they've gotten a great education. the school system itself is not bad. You just have to know what to look.
I don't think we want to say that it's a bad school system.
Yeah.
It's just, its quality may vary depending on location.
Correct.
So anyway, moving on to the next one here, and like you said, the most northern southern city, you're kind of seeing that in the weather too. So the weather can be a little bit unpredictable. What do we see here weather-wise? Well,
we do have 4 seasons, of course, but spring, when it falls on a weekend, we're happy about that. We celebrate. Those transitions, spring and fall, can sometimes be really quick. Derby is always the first Saturday in May. Mm-hmm. I have seen snow flurries on that day, and I've seen it be nearly 100 degrees on that day. Roll the dice. You never know what you're going to have first Saturday in May.
Yeah. So with its unpredictability, maybe that's a little bit of a con. I'd say the weather actually could have been somewhat of a pro too. You don't get quite maybe as hot as you do in the deep south. You do get some heat, you do get some humidity.
Yep.
But you also don't get, the crazy amounts of ridiculous snow either. In the winter, you'll get some snow, but it kind of, even a little east of here, we'll get a lot more than just right here on the river.
We had 2 or 3 years recently right in a row where we hardly had any measurable snowfall. And then, the past year or two, we have had some, and I've gone sledding with the kids, and it's been fun. But a lot of people hate snow, and for that reason, though, a lot of people don't drive well in the snow. Just keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, so you do get it. You just don't get crazy amounts.
Yeah.
So it's manageable. I think usually it's manageable. So, I think, weather could go both ways, but it is, like you said, unpredictable.
Yeah.
Another big one here, and this is, this part of this is perception too. People look at Louisville and say that it does have a really high crime rate. Or it appears that it does. How does that actually play out, though?
Well, I think that you get people that have their mind made up about something and they want to discuss it in a certain light, but the crime rate in Louisville is scored as like a 46, where 1 is almost none and 100 is very high. So it's below even the average kind of crime rate. Yeah. And is it higher than the country, than the state itself? Of course. But
most big cities are.
Yeah, but it's nothing that I think is overwhelming. There's areas in the town where there's hardly any crime at all, and there's some more concentrated areas. I had a discussion on my business page recently, and people were saying that the crime is really bad and you're going to get shot if you move to Louisville. So I went in, I did some math, and knowing that violent crime is not random most of the time, and I was able to show people how your chance of being a victim of a violent crime in Louisville is statistically 0.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes down to, if you're looking for trouble, if you're going out and doing something that's going to put you in the situation, those chances can go up. But that's how that happens. If you're not into that, you're doing what you need to do. It's extremely unlikely that you're going to have any issues.
Absolutely.
Next up, Louisville already pretty big, but like you said, it is growing. So, with that comes a little bit of a traffic problem. Now, we said the drivers are pretty courteous, but volume still can be an issue.
Well, one time I was driving through Atlanta. I was going the right way because all the major traffic was going the opposite way, but the backup went on literally for miles.
Yeah.
And you just can't get anywhere. And there's a lot of cities like that. And Louisville is not choked with traffic like that. However, I think there's some outdated systems that need to be upgraded to handle the amount of volume that they have sometimes. The Watterson, which is the loop around I-264, if you take that to I-65 South at any time besides the middle of the day, there's going to be a backup because there's one lane for it, and it's just a popular route. I-71 that comes in from Cincinnati, they are widening that as we speak. So it's got some growing pains. The downtown area has this mess of all these interstates that connect, and they call it Spaghetti Junction. And they improved it recently, and it took a long time, but it is a dream now compared to what it was. So I look for that to improve in the future.
Yeah. And then, too, if you are somebody who's coming from these bigger cities and you're wanting to get away from the traffic, so, that could be, like you said, Atlanta, Houston, Dallas, Chicago, any of these big coastal cities where you really have traffic, it's not like that here.
No.
And driving around here, you can get around, I would say most of the city, would you say, even from maybe one side to the other, about 45 minutes at the kind of the most?
I think
like
that's even extreme.
Like the
you can get
extreme
most anywhere from in 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Most, like if you were going maybe from the extreme one side all the way to the other side, and maybe not at the most optimal time of day, I'd say about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't think you're spending a ton of time.
No, commutes around here are generally pretty tolerable.
Yeah. So nothing like maybe what if you're in an area like that you could be used to.
Yep.
Okay, so moving on here, another one we said our first thing was that it is affordable here.
Mm-hmm.
So you're still most likely going to save money compared to a lot of the other places you could be moving from. However, we do have a state income tax. It's a flat state income tax.
It is. It's 5% across the board. There's a deduction that is high enough that almost everyone takes that rather than trying to itemize. If you live in the city, though, you'll have a little bit added onto that as well. It's not crazy amount. It's a little more than 2%, but now you're going from 5% to 7%. And depending on where you live, and we've discussed this in different videos, there's different areas within the city that you pay taxes differently in.
Yeah. So that'll vary a little bit, just minor differences from area to area, but you know, it's still a flat thing there, and you do get the deduction. And add to that, though, property taxes, I will say, are some of the lower property taxes in the country, typically at or below 1%.
Correct.
Effectively. And then also sales tax, super low in my opinion, as somebody who's kind of been around some different areas. You know, down in Tennessee, it's close to 10. Texas has it over 8%. Here it's just 6%.
6%, and some other states, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, those come to mind. It's the same, no difference.
Yeah, so there's good and bad sides of that, but we do have the state income tax, so we have to include it as a con.
Yeah.
Here's another one too. This one's less quantifiable. It's really just more of a feeling, and it's, you know, being such a kind of a city with a small town vibe. A lot of people are pretty close. Like, it's not everybody knows everybody, so I guess it's kind of like either you're an insider or an outsider, right?
Yes, you would be surprised if people know the 6 degrees of separation kind of thing. It's 2 degrees in Louisville.
2 or 3 degrees here, right?
Yeah. I can't tell you the endless amount of times I've met somebody that I don't know at all, and we all of a sudden figure out that we know 10 people in common. That happens all the time. People will ask you what high school that you went to, just to kind of have some background on things that they can quickly sum up about you. If you're an outsider, you may have to work a little bit harder to make some real connections to people above just surface level. It may take a little while, but people are friendly and can do that. It'll just take a little more effort.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So the people are friendly. So if you want to do it, you can do it. It's just, you might find that you meet 2 people and then you met them in totally different places, and then they happen to know each other. They both know this person. So it's, you know, and you can use that to your advantage in some way too.
True.
So it could be a pro and a con, but it's one of those things that once you get in here, you'll get into it.
Yeah.
And then the last thing here is, I'm going to say the stigma, the perception of Kentucky, you know, and like a lot of things, how they're portrayed in the media and in movie references and everything else, it's not always how it really seems.
It's not. Louisville is unlike most of the rest of the state anyways. You know, a lot of the state is rural.
Yeah.
And that's not bad necessarily, but there are places where that's a stigma. I've seen movies that refer to people not wearing shoes and being a hillbilly and relations with family members. That's not a thing around here. None of that is real. We live in a modern, real city that's awesome, but when you tell your California family you're moving to Kentucky, they might buy you a banjo.
Yeah, it's nothing like that here. I haven't been here too long. I haven't seen anybody walking around barefoot. I haven't heard any banjo music. I'm actually a little disappointed. I like the sound of banjo music.
I can point you in the right direction.
I'm not getting out there with it, but, you know, I'm just saying I could have a little bit of it. But, hey, we're just having fun here, y'all. We hope you like the city if you come visit. We obviously love it. We think you'd be great here. That's our list of pros and cons. You know, again, if you have something you think we left out, put it down there. You know, we don't have everybody's experience, so you may have a different experience and have different pros, different cons. We want to know that. The people who are thinking about moving here want to know that. So down in the comments is a great place for that. If you did like this video, if you got something from it, we would absolutely love it if you'd hit that like button down there below. It helps us get this content out to more and more people, you know, like you, who maybe are looking to potentially move to Louisville. And so if that's you, you want to see more content like this, make sure you also subscribe and click that bell. That way you'll get notified when these videos come out. And of course, if you know you're going to do it, or if you're really thinking about it, you got to take it just one step further.
You're going to need to reach out. We would love to hear from you. You can call, you can text, you can email, or
sound the bugle.
We'll get you off to the races.
That's right. Off to the races with your move here to Louisville. So y'all, thank y'all for watching this one. Hope you did enjoy it. And stay tuned. Keep watching. We'll see you on the next one.